If you are passively investing in your 401k, you need to listen to this video. I may have just saved my friend $36,000 in fees over the next 20 years of investing. So my friend had invested into his 401k and he really didn't know what he was doing about investings or stocks. So he just chose the default option, which was a balanced fund with a target lifetime date based on his expected retirement year. Now, even though all this fund of funds does is it selects a few good funds and puts them together, they charge this enormous default fee of 0.65%, so about $6.50 for every $1,000 you have invested. Now, this compares to something like Vanguard, which is 0.015%. Just to be clear, that is a fee that is 43 times percent higher than just getting into Vanguard funds. And even worse, this fund, because it had so much in international and bond, it had dramatically underperformed the total market index and the S&P 500 for the last year to date, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and 10-year returns. But let's assume that the returns would be the same over the next years and just look at the impact of the fee. In this case, I assume that my friend would put in $10,000 each year. Just to simplify it, I said, imagine it was at the beginning of the year, that they get a 7% return each year, and they're to charge the 0.65% fees on their current balance. Over the 20 years, they would pay about $23,000 in total fees if you added up all the values and fees charged, and the balance at the end would be $442,000. This is obviously simplified a little bit. But now, if we assume everything is the same $10,000 per year invested, same 7% returns, but instead it's getting the 0.015% fees, then over 20 years, the total fees is less than $600 instead of $23,000. But because of compound interest, you're no longer getting the return on those fees that were lowered, right? Your balance is lowered because of the fees. So now when you're getting 7%, that's on a lower balance. And so the difference in total value of your portfolio at the end of this 20 years is $36,000 just from the differences in fees alone. And just to be clear, these are real numbers. These are funds. My friend has a 401k. Everything is in Fidelity, but he was defaulted into this lifecycle fund, this fund of funds that, again, had terrible returns. But just on the fees was almost 0.7%, about 70 basis points, when there were other options on there, like the Fidelity S&P 500 index and the Fidelity total market index, and they were basically the same as Vanguard, with fees that were 1/43rd as much as these life cycle funds. So if you have money in a 401k and you didn't really take the time to look at each, your investments, or you just blindly went into one of these life cycle funds, please double check, make sure that you are not getting shafted.